Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if my predictions for the top five are correct, and then make predictions for next week's top five. So let's get right on into it. Last week I predicted that number one would be Beauty and the Beast, number two would be Kong Skull Island, number three would be Logan, number four would be Get Out, and number five would be The Belko Experiment. And I actually got 4 out of 5 of my predictions right, which is actually pretty good. I was only one off, which is kind of rare that I get a almost perfect score because lately I've been doing so bad with these predictions. But nonetheless, let's go over what happened with the easily predictable number one, Beauty and the Beast. This movie made $170 million on its opening weekend, and since it's on a budget of 160, and on the worldwide chart it's at 350 million right now, I say that this movie is going to be a really huge success for Disney. It'll probably continue their trend of taking their classic cartoons and remaking them for a long time now. And I gotta say, I saw the film, and I will have a review for it soon, but all I would say is this is actually really well deserved. This movie was actually really good in my opinion. I'm glad it made so much money, and if you look at the March records, it is actually the highest opening weekend for a film to come out in March, previously held by Batman v Superman. Beauty and the Beast has just topped that, which is actually pretty spectacular. Number two was Kong Skull Island. This weekend it made $28 million, and that adds to a domestic total of $110 million, and on the worldwide chart it is sitting at $259 million. Now, technically, according to its budget of $185 million, it needs to get past $370 million to be considered successful, but there's some reports going on that it needs to get to $500 million in order to break even, and it seems like it's having a rough time getting there at first, but I think as soon as it gets released in China next week, it'll probably bump that up by a lot, so I think this movie is still going to do good. By next week, it'll probably be close to 500 million or get over the 300 million point, but this movie is still doing pretty good despite how I feel about it. Number three, however, was Logan. This weekend it made $17 million, and that adds to a domestic total of $184 million, and on the worldwide chart it is already at $481 million. It only needs 19 million more to get to 500 million, which was actually faster than I originally anticipated. I'm not sure if anyone else thinks that this is incredible how fast it's getting up there, but I think I was actually really surprised to see it almost be at 500 million already, but it's really well deserved because Logan, so far for me, is the best film of 2017. At number four, we have Get Out, which made $13 million, once again barely dropping in the charts. It adds to a total of 133 million domestically, and this is still super good for Get Out. I'm wondering how it'll drop like next weekend because there'll be like 3 other movies coming out that will have competition with it, as well as people still wanting to go out and see Beauty and the Beast. So I'm wondering if it's going to drop drastically or anything like that. I don't think it will, honestly, because I think a lot of people are loving it and digging it so far. So I think it's still going to make waves in the coming weeks. At number five, a movie I didn't expect to still be in the top five, beating out The Belko Experiment, The Shack. This movie made $6 million this weekend. That adds to a domestic total of $42 million, and it actually just doubled its $20 million budget. It's gotten $2 million more than that, so that's pretty good for this movie that I hear isn't too good. At number six, we have the Lego Batman movie, which made $4,700,000 this weekend. That adds to a domestic total of $167 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $287. It only needs $13 million more dollars to get past $300 million worldwide, which I'm hoping it does, because I'd love it if it got to that milestone. But either way, this fantastic movie has still made a lot of money, so I couldn't be happier with that. At number seven, it honestly kind of surprised me how low it got, but not really, because these kind of Blumhouse movies typically do less at the box office. The Belko Experiment is number seven, and it made $4,051,000 this weekend, and this is only on a budget of $5 million, so it's obviously going to get that budget back very soon. It's just that I thought maybe it would go a little bit higher. There's not really much I can say other than the director did The Darkness, one of the worst movies from last year, and it's from the writer James Gunn, and apparently those two don't work well together because the movie isn't getting that much good critical reception, and it didn't make a lot of money this weekend. I don't know, I haven't seen it. Number 8, however, a movie I did see, Hidden Figures. This weekend it made $1,500,000, and it adds to a total of $165 million domestically, and on the worldwide chart it is at $209 million. This is the only Oscar film still left in the top 10 of the box office. This is the only technically 2016 film left, and it's about to leave soon, which is actually pretty impressive that it was able to last this long. At number 9, we have John Wick Chapter 2, which made $1,200,000 this weekend. That adds to a domestic total of $89 million, and on the worldwide chart it is at $158 million. That's super fantastic for John Wick Chapter 2. I'm glad that this movie made so much money, and even though it's probably going to leave the box office next weekend, I'm still glad that it made so much money. At least it made more than the first one, and I'm hoping John Wick Chapter 3, when that comes out, makes even more. And at number 10, finally, we have Before I Fall. Out of the top 10, it made $1,034,000, and that adds to a domestic total of $11 million. So before it got out of the top 10, it was able to double its $5 million budget, which is super good for this awesomeness TV film that's basically a ripoff of Groundhog Day and technically Edge of Tomorrow. But now it's time for the fun part, the predictions for next week's top 5. Now I'm going to predict that number 1 will still be Beauty and the Beast, and that number 2 will be the new Power Rangers movie. Believe it or not, I don't think Power Rangers is going to be able to stop Beauty and the Beast at the box office. I think Power Rangers is going to be like Ninja Turtles, though, where it makes a lot of money for the first film, and then they move along with sequel plans, and probably that sequel bombs, but that's looking ahead too much. I think this movie will still do good, though. At number 3, I think Life has a pretty good chance of making it up there because of the star power involved, and also the trailers look really cool. Then I'm going to say number 4 is Kong Skull Island, and that number 5 is Logan. Believe it or not, I don't think Chips is going to do that well because it's a remake of a classic TV show that barely anyone today knows about unless you were born at the time when the show was on. And I honestly don't think it's been making a lot of great impressions, like as far as its trailer and commercials, so I don't think it's going to make it into the top 5. But what are your predictions for next week's top 5? Leave it in the comments below, and if you got your predictions right for this week, you're going to get a shout out right now. Unless you didn't get it right, then I'm sorry, and as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.